This is the Silt Verses Drowned Revelations Part 13, our final episode with the Institute conspiracy. And we're going to jump right in, kind of have a faster moving, actiony kind of session. And last session, our custodians were able to breach the Institute. You answered the first question and found a way inside this Institute's sort of testing facility where there have been rumors, and you've picked up on various not so subtle clues that they're doing some kind of strange work with saints that they've been dabbling in and maybe stealing from, in one case fully capturing the subjects of your various assignments. And you found your way in through the town of Erstwhile, which was nearby, and you kind of navigated some strange mirage-like miracles that were trying to obscure your path. And any other details I might be skipping over, feel free to bring back in when appropriate. Does anyone have any verses that you have not narrated? If,
I do
I
not.
have one, but I will use it when it's
yeah, whenever you
appropriate.
feel it. Absolutely.
It's dramatically appropriate. I have thoughts.
Yeah. So yeah, your remaining question is, how does the Institute plan to implement their project? It's complexity 4. And answering that involves you can resolve the confrontation by sabotaging, reclaiming, or destroying any work of the Institute which has ties to you. However you want to interpret that. I'm just going to tell you the locations that are open to you, and then we'll kind of see where each of you want to go and what your approach is. And Elle will be joining us at some point. She's running a little behind, but Merriweather will also appear at the right moment. So inside the Institute, you have 3 more locations. Well, there still is the Institute exterior. I don't know if we've actually really seen much of that, but it's sort of the perimeter. There's fences, gates, maybe other service roads, maybe things happening around that. But inside, you can now access the ground floor with its various corridors and maybe different office buildings and who knows what else. There's sub levels below that. And then there somewhere is a testing hangar. So these are pretty broad, abstract locations. You can kind of poke around and we'll kind of zoom in and out. But just to start, does anyone have any thoughts on what your approach is going to be?
Does anyone remember how we got in? I feel like tunnels were involved.
Mm-hmm.
If we can't remember, that's very thematic.
It is, isn't it?
Because we were in Erstwhile, so yeah.
It was some kind of tunnel, right, through the town of Erstwhile. I think it was either like a shrine or a church. I remember. It's been a few weeks.
Sounds familiar.
I love that.
So we could have you start underground if that makes sense to you.
It makes sense to me. I'm not going to. I don't think Zeph is actually leading this charge. I think he recognizes that there's some finesse maybe that might need to happen up front. That he's not really. He's just sort of like maybe middle or back, like, you know.
Let's get our D&D marching order.
Right.
You know,
I don't know what the sub levels are like.
Well, let me describe them, and then maybe that'll give you a little more.
Yeah.
So the sub levels, a labyrinth of narrow corridors and stairways, stacks of crates and shipping containers. As you kind of like look down these hallways, you see that some rooms have padlocked doors, some are missing doors, some are just covered with plywood. And the various signs on these doors include things like auxiliary, observation, overflow, cleansing, purging, high impact, level 3 consecration, and maybe further on things like rebirth, depending on how far you keep looking. But we'll start with a paint the scene. Some areas have been marked off as dangerous. How are these problems being handled with half measures instead of lasting solutions?
A really sloppily drawn prayer mark that is just like a vague, like, neutralizing sort of something you would see on a barrier of a sort of god wounded land that maybe is like some underpaid government employee was like, ah, shit, all right, I guess. Not up to OSHA standards.
Right. What was it? Our Sisters of Health, Hazard,
yeah,
and Safety.
Our sister. Yeah, our
David
sisters
came up with the perfect acronym.
Yeah, it was something. Our Sisters of something.
Yeah.
I also think, so obviously we began our adventure at the floating market where there were definitely very weird things happening in the water. There were fish that were very unfish-like, very strange geese. And I think typically a facility like this would use fire to destroy failed experimental saints. But what is very clear is that what they have instead here is a kind of a vacuum chute where they are literally dumping their failed experiments into the river.
Wow. Sorry, I think my connection froze. Did you say like a chute?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
They are just sucking the stuff out and dumping it in the river, the host style.
You have a last-ditch escape route, if nothing else.
Yeah. I think we can see kind of like a big set of like reinforced, almost like airlock style doors, though the porthole bit in one of them is slightly cracked, sort of spider web cracking on it. And in front of the door is a big like dumpster style wheelie bin with sort of bright yellow in color, with a big sort of danger metaphysical waste sign printed on it, and it's clearly very, very full with sort of bags and stuff inside it, with a lid sort of slightly up, and every now and then there's just a big thump against the door and the bin just sort of shakes slightly.
Holy shit.
Not only from that door, but further down the hall here and there, you'll occasionally hear muffled sounds of research in progress, presumably. Something shatters. There's like hurried voices. There's other just sounds like science experiments going wrong mostly. But sometimes like more steady speaking, more like rhythmic, maybe like some kind of chanting. At one point, some other room starts to drone, almost becomes like a roar, and then with like a thunderclap, there's just a dull, prolonged silence. So who knows what they're up to. But you don't see anyone else in this hall at the moment. You're starting to, thankfully, it seems you've come in some part of the Institute that is not at least heavily staffed or occupied right now.
This is very D&D, but I'm wondering, especially with Zeph's abilities in mind, if there's any visible security here, any cameras.
I was literally about to ask, so don't worry.
Roll for traps.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes,
let's do an information move.
Cool.
Sounds like insight. I need to look at everyone's conditions. I feel like hold on a moment,
fellas.
I feel like the doctors had some that I've just like failed to like mess with this whole time.
Come on, bring him.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm gonna say you're a miraculous parasite. You're just in proximity to who knows how many sorts of like miracles and saints and metaphysical waste, and it is starting to. We said it was still like in your neck somewhere in there. I think it's just starting to like strain and struggle. Like it is starting to react, and it is making it a little difficult to focus.
Okay, well, I've got to use my items. So I'm going to take out the hypodermic syringe with a broken needle, which I believe contains the sleep-inducing drug from the fascist camp we were at. And I'm going to try and stick this parasite to get it to calm down so that I can focus.
I mean, if you want, just following your lead with the fiction, we could make a roll to just try to get rid of it using the drug, or you could just do that for now to negate that being a condition.
I can see this being an escalating disaster if I roll to get rid of the drug and then to get rid of the parasite, and then so I might just keep it calm for now and then.
Sounds good.
Cool.
So then just straight roll with insight as it kind of like calms down and stops writhing within your flesh.
Got it. That's 3 and a 4 is 7. Insight is 2, so 9.
Nice. With a 9. Let's see. So that will be a clue. Come back to you. So while you're kind of looking up and down the hall, and the others can, again, being careful, you don't have to necessarily be going anywhere else. I'm just curious what you're paying attention to, what your approach is.
All of us, or
either Zeph or Bastion, yeah, while the doctor's doing this.
I'm trying to figure out if the doors are like like if everything here is like connected by like a sort of an electronic thing, like if all the doors, like if you pressed a button it would open like a jail, or like if everything's manual. I want to know how much influence I have here.
Yeah. Do you have any faith sheet moves? I feel like you might have some.
I do. I have Ghost in the Machine and Inspired Circuitry, which is actually just problem solving. And we're going to leave Sacred Conduit for a little later.
Sure.
That's a Mouska tool that we can use later.
I think, remind me, I know I wrote this, but it's been a while, but Ghost in the Machine where you can basically say how the saint works through something?
Yeah, once per session when you encounter an object, device, or apparatus that uses electricity, you may tell the keeper an unknown fact about how the saint powers it. When acting on this information, roll with advantage.
Yeah, if you want, I think we can just use your move. I think you can absolutely see that there are some. Let me give the doctor's clue first, and we'll build off of that. You do see one of the doors. I think further down, one of the ones that had one of the more ominous signs on it. I think it's sort of like I lost it, but it's sort of, it's like class 3 metaphysical overflow or something. It's just like weird classifications that mean nothing, with various prayer marks. And some of them seem like they're a little bit either carelessly drawn or they've kind of worn off over time. And you can tell that someone has basically done a slapstick, like, or a kind of half completed job of rebarricading this location. So they've just kind of like put some other heavy plywood in front of this door. They've moved some looks like large barrels, just to like hope that it stays shut. But what you also do notice is that there are motion sensor lights that have been installed in this hallway. So it seems like from the clue they're aware there's some kind of, this is dangerous, but they either didn't have the means to fully deal with it. It's kind of like a temporary fix. And I think with that, I think across from where the motion sensor lights are, I think Zeph, you do see there's some other maybe a newer wing of this this level where there are maybe some kind of like heavy motion or automatic doors, kind of like heavy. Just think of any kind of sci-fi video game or something like reinforced steel looking doors that probably were supposed to like hiss open, but they're like heavily clamped shut.
We're in Doom. Okay, got it.
Yeah, there you go.
Got it.
So the first is a clue. I'm just gonna paste that in. Do you want to add anything, Zeph, to?
I think that the saint it's actually a little bit a part of the wire-bitten child. Like they're using super high tech internet, Wi-Fi bullshit to like remotely control some of these. Like it's not hardwired in like we would expect. It's the hottest and newest, highly experimental Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It's Bluetooth, that shit.
Oh, so that got it. So when you act on that, you can roll with advantage. So there's some theoretically down here, they're getting some kind of signal, which could be interesting. Love that. And thanks for putting the clue in there already, whoever did. Appreciate it. Bastion, what about you? As the others are kind of scanning this hallway. Oh, you're muted if you were saying something. Sorry.
I was indeed. Yeah, so I think Bastion is. I think Bastion is going to be more like keeping an eye out for people, while the other two are sort of searching the area. I think he's sort of almost like standing guard, and yeah, just sort of keeping his eyes peeled, keeping sort of an eye on the others.
Yeah, I think as you are kind of keeping an eye out, you start to notice, you hear sounds from another, actually, no, I think we've talked about faulty electricity and stuff. You just start to notice some of the overhead lights flicker, and it starts to do that thing where one flickers, one light goes out, another section goes out, another section goes out, and kind of you're on one end of the hallway, I think, where you came in, and further on, it's just getting darker and darker. It could just be fuses, it could be something else, but it is pretty quickly going to plunge you all in darkness.
I think Bastion is going to rifle through his bag and pull out an oil lantern to cast some light in this. It is the one from the
cool.
Blanking on the name of the. Yes, indeed, that's the one. Yeah, so it's sort of made of vines and sinew, but otherwise appears to function like an oil lamp.
Nice. Does it do anything in particular?
No, I think it's just
nice.
a standard item. Yeah,
standard god lantern.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. We'll just say, unless you want to make, you can make an information move with this, or we can say that counteracts that situation for now. You'll still have some light.
Yeah, I might go for an information move. Actually, maybe I notice something in the darkness, or in the lack of darkness. In the sort of flickering at the edge of the thing that I feel like.
We'll say for fun, this would be insight by default, but if you're sort of like willing to try to, maybe see things that wouldn't be pleasant to see, if you're trying to like go put yourself out there, you could roll with communion.
Yeah, go on. I am using an
item,
God forged item to do this, so I think that feels appropriate.
I think you're clear of conditions yourself, right?
Yes, I am at the minute, actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
That's an 8.
Nice. Great so far. I think it's an 8. You wouldn't have noticed this in the darkness, but I think your lantern, one of these sections of hallway, one of these, it's like floor to ceiling, a whole section of wall, gives off this dull gleam. Actually, just kind of catch it, and you realize that this is actually a one-way mirror. And you can see in, I think, from using your lantern, very faintly. It is, let's see, you're still below. It looks like, you see, it looks like very, very long concrete floor. And there's some kind of, looks like an elevator. And you're kind of like at the bottom of an elevator shaft. So you can, from your point of view, you can only see up so far, but it continues to go way up. And I think if you kind of look around and follow where this window is giving you a vantage point, you can kind of see a little further down the hallway. It looks like there's another door. So if you were to keep going, you'd find a way into this strange viewing room of where an elevator opens out on this floor. So yeah, the clue is a one-way mirror in an unusual location. And I'll just say that elevator goes up, so probably goes up to the ground floor or somewhere else. I don't have a map for any of this. This is just improv. We have 3 locations technically, so we're kind of, yeah.
It's a vibe map. It's okay.
Yes. Yes.
Do either of us see this while we are like perusing things? Do you point this out to us, Bastion? I think is actually the better question. While you're just like, oh, one-way mirror.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll say, looks like there's something behind the walls here. It's a mirror or something.
To where?
Up.
Cool. Awesome. Why?
Well, I suppose we do. Ultimately, our goal here should be to shut the power down, correct? If we shut the power down, their operations cease. And since there is no power source here, then perhaps up is the way to go. I can't hear you, B.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
my mic is turned down.
There we go.
Why is it turned down? I just need to be loud. Get in here, microphone set up so I can be loud. But I, regardless of me being quiet, think I know how to find it. We'll see. Because this is, now hear me out. This is as someone who does not know jack shit about actual tech. So if anybody watching this or anybody in this Zoom room knows about it, don't call me on it. But maybe, just maybe, I could use, like, I could try to, like, find the source of the, like, Bluetooth signal, like, that is, like, control, so I can get closer to wherever the control panel is.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. We don't know how divine experimental tech works. No, it's fine. So, how is that treating you?
So you're trying to find. Well, you're getting advantage if you're using your other move, right? But you're trying to figure
that's what
out.
I'm trying to leverage the advantage.
Yeah.
Thing I said. There we go.
You're trying to like figure out how to maybe I've described like an elevator shaft, how to get that to come down or how it works because you're not seeing any.
That's actually a better idea than what I had. Because we know we need to go up. Yeah, maybe trying to figure out how to operate this elevator for us, so we can get in there and get up.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
with the advantage of my thing.
I think let's call it the veiled move for now, because again, I was joking in the chat that other people don't know how this tech works, but neither do you really. So you don't know. You might set off something you didn't mean to.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything.
Maybe
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, maybe just to kind of fill it in a little bit more as you go up to this mirror. I think it's some very strange looking. It's almost like that. It's like infrared kind of response to your body heat as you get closer to this like one-way glass mirror. It kind of, you notice the colors start to like shimmer a little bit, and maybe you get the sense that like this is some kind of control panel, like you can touch it or it'll react to you. And knowing what you do with like the whatever the signals are, it's this weird energetic something.
We're gonna hope.
Yeah.
All right. So do I need to say what I'm afraid will happen with the veiled move, or is that a different one? I can't remember.
Yes. Yeah, I just don't get to tell you how it's worse.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to set off all the alarms.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm afraid I'm just going to press the wrong button. It's like intruder alert and just absolutely just destroy us all.
Sure. Probably focus sounds right to me. Unless you have want to make a different case.
No, I would say focus absolutely makes sense.
Cool.
I'm not trying to do actual stuff on it. It's like magics. Sure. Okay, that is an 8. I can count. Yes. 9. Woo!
Nice. Wow. This is easy. You're all doing great.
We're doing so good, guys. We're just gonna kick the Institute's butt and get out of here. No problem.
Yeah. I think your sort of intuitive understanding of these signals and what you know about like the divine current, let's say. Maybe it's that kind of thing where you're like experimenting with like your positioning and you kind of realize, okay, if I get this close and it senses me, and you're kind of like maybe becoming like a human antenna for a second. The mirror starts to shimmer, and it does that thing where it kind of like wavers and like a gap just opens, and you kind of figure out how to get it to maintain, and you're pretty sure if you hold this position, you can keep this open and the others can go through.
I love the emphasis on pretty sure, because those are the words, the exact verbatim words that come out of Zeph's mouth. Pretty sure
Right.
I can keep this open. I would advise you to hurry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, just to say the complication is, I'll just ask Zeph, how do you know that your interaction with this signal is affecting some other door on this hallway at the same time?
There's this weird little trio of lights that initially comes up when I touch it, and then it goes up and down as I try to manipulate it, but only the three, and I just hear this every time it gets to the three, and I'm like, well, fuck. Oh well.
That's great. Yeah, I think, let's see here. Yeah, I'm just gonna say take the condition signal active. Oh, you already have 3 conditions, don't you?
Conditions,
I didn't even think to give you disadvantage. Yeah. Well, this will be a condition, so I think that means you just have to mark
I just have to mark a verse.
Mark one, but we'll replace one of those with signal activated.
That's more fun than some of these that
yeah, some of those might be outdated for as far as current events.
There we go.
And just a reminder, if you have verses of prophecy that unlock new weird abilities and stuff, now's the time to go for them if you want. All right. But that said, you're able to all get through. Is everyone going through to this other elevator shaft?
Yeah, I was going to say as soon as Zeph mentions that they're pretty sure we can get through, Bastion's just going to leap through and
yeah.
So much trust.
Eager to die. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, Bastion, you said you don't know where you're supposed to die. I feel like this is happening on the elevator, by the way, like after we're all...
Yeah.
Do you know where other people are supposed to die?
Supposed to isn't really the right word. It's more a sense of the impending death that I get.
Going to, okay. Do you know where other people are going to die?
Honestly, I think a lot of people are going to die here. It's a little difficult to focus.
Noted. And as John said in the chat, music is definitely playing during this conversation.
Oh no. Yeah. That's funny. I'd like to think maybe this is like a repurposed, like they've obviously built their strange tech here, but maybe some of it's still intact. It's just like the worst office building elevator. Yeah, I think I like how you just described being on the elevator. And in fact, I think you just get on and there aren't even like buttons at this level. It just like closes and starts going up. And you maybe don't even register this till the doors have sort of closed and like
just like looking around for more of those like control panels, and I'm like see him panicking a little bit, like
it kind of rumbles, kind of shudders if you're ever on like a small elevator in like a hotel that you're like you feel it working. You're like, yeah, it's not the smoothest ride.
Freight elevator.
The door opens and you're hit with harsh fluorescent lighting going off this office building vibe. There's tasteless patterned carpet, just garish patterns, probably very, very out of style. And you're just seem to be on this, you're on the ground floor. You can kind of hear typewriters or, keyboards rather. You hear like a phone ringing, you hear like paper shuffling, and someone turns and kind of sees you kind of the elevator, and you could be considered handsome, but very frazzled, as just like has this pile of like papers that he was kind of writing on and just looks like very strangely for a second, and then looks back down the hall and goes, "Oh, thank gods, interns! Finally, we're gonna get something done around here. I mean, we're so short on manpower around here." And like, here, it just starts handing you piles of paper. It says like, "We're behind schedule. I need you to start filing these before Mr. Harrow gets in."
We'll get to these, sir, of course, but we're actually on business from Rosemary Butcher right now. Could you maybe point us to the head office?
Nice. I think this is another veiled move here.
So good.
We're bluffing. Love it. What might go wrong here?
I think very obviously he instantly sees through the bluff. I guess Rosemary Butcher, Merriweather did call into being, so I guess that's not the bluff. Maybe it is just staring at the very grey-haired Dr. Quick and going, "You look very old for an intern."
An intern, yeah.
Yeah,
that's great.
Like, you don't look like interns.
Exactly.
Yeah. Are you okay? You have bad bark skin and marked by soil. I feel like marked by soil, he would have cleaned off by now, so I don't know. What's up with the bark skin? Can you remind us?
The bark skin, it was from the tree in the green room inspired assignment. So I do have maybe some twigs and leaves poking through my my shirt right now.
Yeah, let's say that's gonna be disadvantage. That and just the situation is already a little like you just came up from somewhere. Yeah.
Like I'm gonna burn through these, but
yeah, now's the time.
I think Dr. Quick just kind of very carefully like takes the clown egg with his own face on it from out of his pocket. And the idea here is that maybe like he tucks it in his lapel and he wants this guy to think that's why he hasn't been promoted past an intern. He's a bit of a strange guy with this little clown egg with his own face on it. And Dr. Quick will, have no shame in being like, "Oh, so what do we think, Mr. Clown Egg?" Do a little bit to try and come across as maybe a harmless eccentric who the reason he just works in the mailroom is because there's something a bit odd about him.
Oh my god. I want you to know Zeph looks over at Bastion like really trying to play it cool, just like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, this will be with presence, but no longer a disadvantage.
Okay. Presence is 0, so this will be flat. It's a 3 and a 2.
Okay. 5. I think he just kind of like was in the middle of handing more papers and just like freezes and just stares and blinks, and you see his eyes just kind of like twitching, and he just like doesn't know how to respond to this fully, and he's like, okay, sure, come with me, and we'll kind of turn and say like, yeah, I will take you to. Yep, I think I know. I think he hands the rest of the papers to Bastion and Zeph and says like, "I've got something better for you, I think. No problem." And we'll start to lead you to some other
you can let this play out, but I remember this from the Roots. I know how this goes when you fail a roll and then a side character goes, "Let me take you to another location."
Yeah, let's go to a secondary location.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do, but I'm versing this.
Sounds good. So yeah, I think he doesn't walk into and knock on another certain door where maybe some very scary looking guard has been like taking a nap and you were not seized and dragged off elsewhere. Instead, I think what's more fun is maybe that he sees you speaking to the to the egg and whatever, and goes like, and then he similarly like blinks and says, sorry, you're those, oh, you're the new, not the interns, you're the participants. Sorry, no problem. He takes the papers back. Well, I will, yeah, we're behind, but we'll get this sorted. Right this way. You must be here to see Miss Quinn. I will direct you towards the testing site. And yeah, if you would, sir, if you would put away that egg for now. In fact, if you would actually not take any sort of eggs or even traces of divine materials into this site, that would be for the best.
He's not very nice, is he? No, he's not. He's not.
Is the egg divine? It's just an egg. It's just an egg last time I checked, but all right.
Oh, he's just assuming.
It's just an egg.
Basically, he's
Zeph
like.
Is also assuming. I don't think it's just an egg, dude. I think I'm bullshitting.
No. Yeah. He's sort of like, this is weird enough that it's, I just work here. I don't even really know, but they must be part of that process. And I think he will, yeah, I think for as a it doesn't have to be a condition, but no, it'll be a condition for the doctor. It is study participant is your condition.
Oh no.
And you were directed towards another the part of the complication too is that there's more staff around now, I think. So you might be a bit more involved if you don't want to go along with this. How are Bastion and Zeph responding to the situation?
Bastion, what are you doing?
Because technically you're still in the hallway with just this guy. I'm just saying, like, there's other staff, in the next area, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm torn because I think kind of Bastion is going to sort of glance over to Zeph and kind of glance back to the man they're talking to, in the sort of, does the sort of head jerk and shrugs a bit.
Can anyone else see us? Not to be the worst, but like, can any of the other office people see us from here, Gabriel?
Oh, I mean, you're in a semi-public place. I think it's more, Noted. Either way, it'll be, if you're trying to do a thing, it'll be a roll to do things. I'm just curious if you like stop this from progressing, or if you go along to try to do something else.
I think from a player perspective, I'm more interested in going along for the moment. I think Bastion is is like, yeah, should we just knock this guy out? But I think I'm more interested in seeing this study at the moment.
I like the idea that like we're both like, yeah, let's get this fucker, and then like we accidentally catch eyes with like someone like messing with the copier. We're like ready. We're like, fucking get him, and like we can't like. And we're like, well, shit.
Yeah, I think that person is just sort of like looks at you, and then you're like, all right, and you kind of continue on.
We're in society.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you are you go down a corridor, and this is I think you hear at some point another staff member is just sort of sees you passing, and actually, this is a someone in a very light swallowing suit almost. There's like an office room that you pass by, and it's very dimly lit. They almost have like one of those like salt crystal looking lights on their desk, and just says like Lux, and like points at the research assistant that's with you. It's like, come here a moment. And there's this awkward pause. You're like standing in the hallway, and they sort of say like, they with you? Is it? It's about, yes, we need to get this underway. I've been telling you we were behind schedule. And you kind of have this moment where your research assistant that is kind of roped you in is just saying like, No, we're ready, sir. We're ready to go through with the next stage. We have our participants here. Looks at you all kind of doubtfully, but also with this expression of like, right, help me out here. Like, I don't want to get in trouble either. It's like, it says, oh, okay. And I think this is just a sort of to escalate the danger a little bit. This other much more important looking person is kind of looking at each of you and saying like, right, just to make sure that our records don't get lost again, that we are following procedure, kind of glares at Orion Lux, this research assistant. For the record, could you each please, tell me your, I'm trying to think of the right word. What materials, influences, particular divine affinities you are bringing for this particular trial. Just wants to know, like,
oh God.
He's assuming you've all been like, you're here, you're selected, and maybe the weird egg thing was something that was going to be part of this experiment. You don't know what any of them are talking about, but you're being asked to sort of explain what you're bringing to the table for this latest trial.
I'm going to roll with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Eggy here is actually my personal god of choice. When he hatches, the world shall perish in flame.
Takes notes. How quaint. Egg. Could be. Points at Orion, like, take notes for that for rebirth department. Miss Quinn and may be interested. So assuming things proceed well, yeah, I'd like to hear a report on that. And it kind of looks at the two of you, at Bastion and Zeph.
To be honest, Bastion probably didn't actually put the lantern away when they were coming up in the mist. So I think he's still holding the lantern. It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, yes, this a creation of a minor local god. It'd be interesting to see what results we can get out of that.
Okay, beacon, someone of light sources. I see you're reversing. Interesting. Okay. We're reversing the last trial. I like it. I'm not sure where this is going, but okay. Takes notes with that.
I think the entire time Zeph has been like rifling in his bag, like the entire time. Like as soon as the good doctor pulled out the egg bullshit, he was like, "Oh God, oh no." And he ends up pulling out that pot of glue and the broad horsehair brush that he got from the circus, and he goes, "Props. God of props."
No, that's fine. Please keep that in the bag for now. All right. We do need catalyst. We do need binding. Fair enough. Not seen.
He has not put it up.
Thought we moved past those sort of materials, Lux, but okay. It's your report after all. Just need to make sure records are kept. And yeah, you've all been this isn't a condition. This is just sort of like this person has seen you, has scrutinized you, and yeah, you're proceeding on to the next room here. I think it's sort of like, yeah, go ahead.
Excuse me. I was just wondering, could you tell us a little bit more about this trial that we'll be participating in? Exactly what is going to happen?
Glares at the research assistant again, like, really, you're just bringing them in without full briefing. Apologies, but yes, we do have a schedule. We are behind, and the long and short of it is, we are bringing in outside influences just to test for any sort of trace reactions with the project. again, assuming you know things, you don't know any of what they're talking about. But he says, so we're sort of testing for any unforeseen, unpredictable reactions. So this is great. This is fine. That I've never seen your particular combination before, and we're just going to be having you. You don't need to do much. Just bring in what you've brought and stay present. Try and just be aware of your surroundings. They will want to interview afterwards if there's any new manifestations you notice, if there's things that you feel, hear, or see, that sort of thing. We're just looking for divine manifestations in response to your particular your flaming egg, I suppose. Again, making it sound very benign, not really explaining much. We can do an information move if you would like to, try to gather a little more from this, for sure.
Hell yeah,
Elle.
I'd love to.
Hello. So sorry.
Well, no, you're good. You were in, I guess, just while we're setting up this role, Elle, would you like Merriweather to be in the middle of what this group is doing and I can kind of drop you in, or would you like to kind of show up in a different location of this facility? We're inside the Institute's research facility.
Oh, I'm totally happy to be dropped in to whatever's going on, but whatever makes things easiest for you, Gabriel.
That's fun. Yeah, let's set up this role for John, and then maybe we'll let's see, maybe we'll take a short break. I'll catch Elle up, and then we'll yeah, they're not in a good place. We'll say that maybe Merriweather is catching up and observing kind of the end of this scene, and we'll kind of catch you up as a player. Yeah, information move. I'm curious, John, like, is your approach, are you trying to like read between the lines or like see what's around you while we're talking? Of course, I guess as a doctor, you might be.
Yeah, I think it's very much based on trying to suss out, maybe are there any details on the walls around us as we're moving? Is he giving anything away? Is there anything on his clipboard?
Yeah. Yeah, so probably with focus, unless you're just trying to feel for like strange, divine energies, then that would be like communion.
Focus works. Yeah. Lovely. And do I have a disadvantage?
Let's see. Ooh, study participant, probably at this point.
All right. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to take my lumps. 1, 6, and 4, so 6 total.
Okay, 6. Yeah, I think with the miss, as you're kind of asking more about it, it's like, it's fine. I think what would be best, actually, and he kind of like gestures to the research assistant and says, why don't you, since this is your little project here after all, Orion, let's have our first subject brought through, and the others can kind of see the procedure. It's very straightforward. You're really just kind of witnessing manifestations in the room being witnessed, and we'll see sort of what emerges. You don't really need to do much. Just bring your little egg there, and that's fine. And so
let me just quickly confer with my fellow participants. I regret this. I regret this so much. I have made a terrible mistake. If something bad happens to me, please run. It's been a pleasure and an honor knowing you all. Goodbye.
Oh my God.
I'm ready.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Let's do this, Eggy.
Oh God. Okay, so Merriweather. Actually, let's take a break here for me to better get organized, because I'm improvising so much, and I don't know, science stuff. It's great. Let's take a 5-minute break here. I'll put a couple notes in the chat, and then hopefully this can make more sense to Elle. So see you all in 5 or so. All right, we're back. Elle's with us, and we were just recapping what had happened. And in a few sessions back, Merriweather had used her He of Many Faces ability, and basically called another character into being entirely, which was, I believe, agent of the Institute or the military, something in between. Rosemary Butcher, who the doctor has kind of already name dropped here. Is there anything you want to build off of with that, Elle, or how we see Merriweather join the party?
Sure, yeah. I guess we hear like the clicking of high heels down one of the corridors inside the Institute. And as we pan up, we see, a pencil skirt and a crisp blouse under a lab coat. And then Merriweather with her hair up in like a kind of tight chignon that is totally opposite of how she would ever wear her hair. She is walking toward this the wing where the rest of the custodians have been ushered, clutching a clipboard and trying to look like she belongs here.
Nice. Yeah, I think just based on your appearance, other staff either notice you and then kind of like move on, assuming you belong, or they kind of avoid you because you look important and official, and they don't want to get, they don't want too much attention on them. They're rolling trolleys of boxes, or in some cases locked boxes or papers, or being called away into other rooms and hallways, and you get the impression this area is rather understaffed, for the level of dangerous things they seem to be working on. And I think the rest of the group, as the doctors being led to this other door, I think it says sort of you're like in that I don't know the right term for it, but you're in that room kind of like before you would go into like a surgery operating room or something, where you're supposed to like sanitize, change clothes, put on lab coats, whatever. So this is kind of a waiting area in between. And I think as soon as we see Merriweather as Rosemary Butcher show up, I think the research assistant kind of sees you and says like, "Oh, I did not realize you would be supervising today, ma'am. Is there anything else you need? The director has told me to get started," and this is our kind of shoves the doctor forward. This is our first participant. He's ready to go. Has sort of a small divinity, localized. What was it again? Eggs and rebirth. Something about fire. Thought that would be a good thing to try.
Yes. This egg, Dr. Butcher, is it's a god of chickens. I guess it's going to reclaim the world in fire, is what I was saying. What exactly happens when I'm put in there? Can you just explain it to me, please? Like, I think ethically, from a scientific perspective, it's very important to make sure that the research participant understands fully what they're participating in. That is just a basic principle.
I would love to see Elle, if you want to do so. Obviously, you can just say whatever, but I'm interested to see how this is passed off, because you have this research assistant that is assuming things about you.
Yeah, I think
might be a role, might not.
I think Merriweather's trying to look very serious, and her lip sort of quivers as Dr. Quick describes the chicken god. She's clearly trying to hold back laughter, but she like quickly fixes her face and turns toward this the research assistant and says, "No, what are you doing? These are not the test subjects for this project. You must have misunderstood the director's directive."
Nice. Let's do a roll here. I think a veiled move. Assuming you're basically taking over, dismissing him, or whatever, in some way stopping this from happening. What are you afraid could go wrong here?
I'm afraid Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, I'm afraid that the real Rosemary Butcher is going to show up any moment and blow my cover.
Nice. Love that. Yeah. I think it's be a world presence. You are, in the eyes of the Watcher, at least, a disappointment currently, though. But again, as we said, mark your items, use your abilities, go nuts. If you want to do anything to change that, feel free.
Yeah. I'm just looking at my. I can't immediately think of how any of my altar items are going to help, so I'll just roll. That's fine.
Sounds good.
And I'm at disadvantage. Okay. Oh, no. Wait, okay. Presence. Oh, okay, it's a 7.
Okay. Yeah, I think well, you're he this research assistant's name is Orion Lux, and kind of like shrinks a little bit at this kind of, your authority you're exerting here, and sort of like, right, of course, these are supposed to be just testing for minor reactions to polish, but you're right, of course. I think the complication is that I think just some other yeah, I think it says, I will get the altar technicians on this right away, ma'am. We will proceed. Take them to containment, no problem. We will just carry on. And I think goes and maybe like pulls up a walkie-talkie and starts speaking, and will summon. Basically, they're not here right away, but the containment specialists are on the way to remove these subjects that aren't the right ones.
Oh, no need for that. They've actually been assigned to a top secret project that even you don't know about. So I will escort them there because I have clearance. And you're fired.
It's great. Let's see. I mean, this could be another role, but I'm curious what Bastion is up to in the meantime. Bastion or Zeph. Basically, the complication was that someone else had already been alerted or was probably on their way anyway. But if either of you want to help, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the time has come. I think as Merriweather is kind of upbraiding Iran, I think Bastion is just going to grab the shovel off of his pack and whack him around the back of the head with it.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's do it. Also veiled move. If you're marking the shovel, that's advantage. And I think you're still condition free, or no? Yes, right. Condition free.
Yep, I am still at the moment. Yep.
Sounds like vitality or composure if it's like element of surprise, kind of like.
Yeah. I think I'm just gonna go with vitality here, and just gonna find where I put my dice. Sorry, while I was doing that, I think what I'm afraid is going to happen here is I think that obviously the containment crew may have just firmly escorted us from the premises, but I think when if they arrive and see me assaulting a member of staff with a shovel, I think that their reaction is going to be a lot more violent than that.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That is a 12.
Amazing. Yeah, I love it. I think there's a stunned moment when Orion looks when hears like they're actually going with me, and you're fired, and just kind of like speechless again. This has been a very strange day and a very strange place for this poor research assistant. And before he has a moment to utter a word, he is knocked out. I think with the 12, I'm going to say, I mean, you all have this opportunity. Maybe I'll drop a clue again, because we are kind of speed running this because of time, and I want to make sure you will have like clues to work with. So you get a clue, but I will also say that you will be able to approach the test hangar without being observed, because as long as you like kind of move quickly. I think, let's see. Yeah, I think what would be fun is that he actually drops, I think, it looks like actually some blue, an envelope, when he kind of fumbles to the ground, comes out, I think where it's like in his jacket. So it wasn't in the papers he was carrying. It was something he had stashed. And there are blueprints to some kind of complex ritual. So that's a clue. Yeah.
When this poor motherfucker just hits the ground, Zeph just... All right. Good.
That was a more direct way of dealing with the problem, wasn't it? Occam shovel. Well done, Bastion.
Love it.
That's all right. It just seemed like it's probably time for us to get moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you actually know where everything is here, Merriweather?
I think Merriweather looks like, how would I know that? And then kind of looks down at the clipboard that she's holding, and she's like, oh.
Oh, nice.
And she'll like turn it around, and there's like a little,
yeah,
map of the
there's
facility.
like a map. Totally. Yeah.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
God.
that's great. And just because Elle didn't catch this earlier, there's basically 3 very broad locations here. There's you are currently in the ground level, which is sort of seems to be like offices and storage and that sort of thing. Below on the sub levels, there were all kinds of sketchy like containment rooms and things in storage and things breaking out of storage. And then there's also a testing hangar, which is part of that 12. I'm just saying that you all can like approach without being noticed right away. Yeah, and sorry, the question here is basically I scroll up here. How does the Institute plan to implement their project? Complexity 4. You have 3 clues already, and this lets you resolve the confrontation by sabotaging, reclaiming, or destroying any work the Institute has done that has ties to you. So different directions you could poke around. Whatever was going to be tested, that's available to you as well. Any thoughts? And also assuming you stash this unconscious assistant somewhere.
Yeah, I think as like we're deliberating, somebody's like, I imagine probably Bastion got stuck with it, dragging this dude off to the side, shoving him in a closet.
Yeah, classic.
Classic shit. I mean, the test, we should go where they're doing this ritual, right? This, just not be a part of it.
Yes, maybe from a safe distance we can see exactly what they're up to here.
Maybe your egg god can help us.
I don't know. Last time I used him, I did rather end up with egg on my face. I'm sorry, I'm hysterical. Let's keep moving.
Where was this last week?
Everything else was so weird already. You didn't have to bring it. Yeah, so I will describe, if you want to approach the testing hangar, let's give you that description and then see where you want to go. So I think it's another one of those, like Zeph discovered on the other floor, or Bastion and Zeph. It is another sort of one-way mirror. I think the hallway here becomes a little more industrial. I think using your map, Merriweather, you're able to kind of like a hospital, you're going through a few different sets of double doors, and with your sort of like very official looking dress and presentation with a clipboard and stuff, and these other, I guess, assistants in tow. You get some looks, but nothing seems out of place particularly. And you're able to kind of at least approach some of these other mirrors, and you get the impression that this hallway is kind of going around. Maybe from the outside, we initially described the institute having one sort of massive domed like window, almost like an observatory. So you're kind of like looking in on this big round chamber and through one of these one-way mirrors. And it's this massive sealed vault. And you don't hear anything through the glass. It seems relatively soundproof. Here and there, you kind of dimly see there's some blinking lights, sort of operating stations with some various, buttons and knobs and panels on one end. There's some sacrificial cages on one side, some empty. And that's kind of what you can mostly see from here. You just see a couple like lab techs working on here. Is again, you're kind of looking through a ground level, and you just get the impression that it just goes up. So without going in, you can't see a lot more. And let's see, paint the scene. So basically, you could try to gather more information from outside of it. That's just going to be other roles. This is just a glance, but glancing in, paint the scene. Researchers have been testing an experimental project extensively. How can you tell they're close to its final iteration? Or how do you get the impression? Again, I'm kind of being a bit coy with like what's actually in there. You kind of have to poke around to really see it. But what gives you the impression based on this activity that things feel like they're very close to the final iteration?
There is on the wall, like right next to where, like, there's always like the lab standards of like, here's all of our, like, all the chemical stuff you have to do. I imagine it's like divinity stuff, but there is also a days since Hallowing 0.
I think we see kind of a couple of technicians who are obviously attending some sort of ritual prayer mark assembly on the floor of the hangar, but it's clear they're just making like very minor, just like rubbing out a little bit of a line and just drawing it in slightly better, rather than kind of redesigning the whole thing. It definitely feels like they're just refining what's already there.
Fill in the details, Gabriel, when you reveal your abomination masterpiece, but I'm imagining along the walls there are some of those very classic mad science kind of giant pickle vats where we can see the kind of first very crude attempt, and just gradually going along, it's starting to take shape via these different monstrous aborted forms into the final product.
I think a group of researchers is monitoring the vital signs of whatever is inside this testing hangar. And we can see that its heartbeat, or what it passes for a heartbeat, is like so fast that the machine beeping is like beep, 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 beep. But they seem totally unperturbed by that. Like that's normal.
Yeah.
That's progress as expected.
And I think this is, I'm just going to build off of that too. You do see, as you're looking at them, there seem to be some sort of synthetic fibers trailing telemetry wires. IV tubes. Again, just a weird sci-fi mismatch of like, there's even, it seems like there's prayer beads in one place or talismans. There's just like people have added little elements, but you see things kind of trailing upward, and that's what they're monitoring. And as you all are kind of looking in through this one-way mirror, Bastion, you notice again, kind of like before, lights are flickering, lights are going off in the hallway behind you as you've gone. And I think even your lantern starts to react a little bit, starts to, it's not that the light necessarily glows brighter, but it's sort of like drawing in the light, and the sort of darkness and the shadows around kind of close in a little bit more. And you all hear over some incom, some speakers, the intercom says, alert breach sublevels, containment area 3. We have class 4 materials. Please report. We do need full containment personnel. And it's sort of like kind of a bored sounding voice, kind of like, again, in a hospital where they're saying stuff that sounds pretty bad, but they're just, this is routine. But you hear that kind of alert. You hear further down some of the halls you've been in, footsteps, people are kind of running, murmuring some reactions, and more lights start flickering and going off. It's getting darker in this hallway where you are. And you don't see the people inside of the of this hangar react. Maybe they can't hear. There's a sound barrier of some kind.
Zeph has a sinking feeling that this was a door issue. That he definitely did this, and it's just like, it's not my problem right now. As if it probably is not our problem at all. It's super definitely not our problem.
It's down there. Yeah,
it's down there. It's fine. It's down there, and we're up here. It's fine. The lights are concerning though, and like he even like looks away from the hangar to like look at the fucking horror movie lights. And looks around to everyone else to see if they're even a little concerned.
Maybe I should go and check out that containment level.
By yourself?
I mean, if anyone wants to come.
Why would you do
that? Well, good luck.
I'll go with you, Bastion. We'll go together, all right?
Oh my God. Okay.
I screwed things up for us before with the egg business. I shouldn't try and play act. It's not my forte, but I'm a doctor. What I can do is I can help people. So I'm going to go and help Bastion. You two stay up here and do what you can.
Don't die. That would be. I mean, I'm sure you two can handle it if anybody can. The whole death thing, but I would rather you not. So, and for the record, I don't think you've screwed anything up. Just getting that out there. I like the egg. I think we could workshop it.
The chicken god story was pretty good.
Yeah.
Improv is hard.
She knows.
You're both very kind. I'll try and be back, Zeph, for Lucas.
Thank you. Don't leave me alone with a kid. I don't know how to do that
don't
shit.
Invoke the child.
You can't give us a kid and not let us dramatically invoke his name.
Yeah, we can say I like what I was saying earlier with like having a map. So we'll just hand wave. You can probably find another elevator. It's not the only one. You just came up that particular strange one. You can find another way down if you want to do that.
I figured we'd mostly just follow the running people and
oh, nice. Oh, that's fun. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, if you're kind of following the sound of the commotion, I think you will I think it's one of those things where like either an elevator kind of fills or like a stairwell, like people are kind of like waiting for the people to pass. And I think you encounter I think you actually encounter containment that was called, and they're kind of like, now it's just sort of like this chaotic situation where they're kind of looking for where they're supposed to go. And you see this man with greasy auburn hair, kind of shadowed eyes, a week of stubble. Looks like they've been kind of working double duty here, and kind of short-tempered, just snapping at another containment assistant or whatever, just saying like, no, you're not listening. If we purge things by the usual means, it's only going to dissipate temporarily. What do you think is going to happen if we do that on that level? We have to keep the particles from spreading. This is all connected. And kind of like starting to freak out a little bit about whatever this breach might be about. And then kind of looks to the two of you and just says like, sorry, we have a situation below. Which what unit are you supposed to be reporting to? Looks doubtfully at these two weirdos.
We know you have a situation. We're with the Bureau. We're here to help out. This is our area of expertise.
It's the pure, sure, of course they would send in. Sure, there's a joke there, but I'm just come with us. We will try to take care of this. I'm sure you're, again, looking doubtfully, experts. Take what help we can get, frankly, really just getting in front of things and closing doors. And we'll kind of go, if you're gonna follow them or whatever, we'll go down to the sublevels. We'll say go down some stairs. Are you still carrying this lantern, or is that visible? Is that a feature? Or
yeah, probably still at the minute, because again, it's just there.
yeah. And then back to the sublevels, as we've described, a lot of strange doors. I think what you see is it looks similar to, I'm going to say it's one of these like, it looks like that another glass, heavy glass mirror or whatever, but it seems to have glitched or melted, like it had done the thing that it did before, where Zeph had caused it to open, but it kind of froze. So it's just like half melted glass, and there's sort of strange iridescent, looks like oil slick on the floor that's kind of spreading, and you hear from inside, I think you're starting to hear these sort of strange harmonic frequencies, becomes really shrill, kind of to cover your ears, becomes really deep. And there's just some kind of shimmering particles in the air that are kind of starting to drift out from this breach. We'll come back to you two in a moment. Just think about what you want to do there. Merriweather and Zeph, you're kind of at this weird juncture where the people inside this hangar don't seem to be aware of what's going on outside. What are you thinking here? What's your next move?
Merriweather turns to Zeph and says, well, we gotta get in there somehow, right?
Oh, clearly. And not get hallowed doing it. I think
preferably.
Preferably. At least one of us needs to not be. I think like that'd be a good ratio. At least half not.
Why don't we aim for 0?
We're going to aim for 0.
End. Yeah.
Do you know how to get in, Miss Butcher?
I think you hear a voice coming along the hallway. It says, good, you're ready. Thankfully. Apologies, ma'am, about that mix-up earlier. We have the correct test subjects. And Merriweather, you see the rest of the skeleton family are being led. Their hands are bound. I think they're in some kind of, patient gowns, and being led by looks like there's an altar technician and some very intimidating looking, I guess, like a warden, just like some sketchy like mercenary military types. Yeah, this kind of hulking scarred man and this dead-eyed expressionless person with strangely like heavy boots, almost like hazmat robes, and this sort of the visor's up but has this sort of consecration helm with sigils around it. And kind of looks to you, says, thank you, Miss Butcher. We're ready. So you looks at Zeph like, more interns, I see. Today's the day to learn. Go ahead.
I think Merriweather kind of immediately gasped and like took a little step closer to Zeph, and you can feel like her hand, like how it's like immediately clammy, like sweaty. She's not nearly as composed as she's trying to look, at least. And she says, well, hold on. What exactly is the plan with these test subjects? Just walk me through it one last time.
Yeah, let's do an information move here. I think that would be fun. I think gonna say composure because of, again, bluffing. It's sort of like yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Does my condition affect this at all, or
still a disappointment? Yeah, let's go with it. Let's see what happens.
Why did I ask? No, that's totally fine.
It's more interesting either way. Unless I don't know, for fun, if we want to describe, if Zeph, if you were doing something to help, if you're trying to assist here, we can even out the disadvantage.
I think trying to like look more official than I did. Like, even though like there was the urge to like grab her hand and like, or like her shoulder and try to be like a reassuring friend, like I try to now treat her like Rosemary Butcher, the fucking director of this place or whatever. And I make sure there's like a smidge of distance between us. And I'm like looking at there is nothing in here in my thing at all. None of this shit looks official. False fuck recordings aren't going to get us very far right now, y'all.
Doesn't have to be items. I mean, it can be just, we can fictionally position ourselves.
I think
here.
like, I actually like turn to her like she's my boss, and yes, ma'am. This is my first day, and I might have, I forgot. So thank you. Thank you for this. I know you know, but I don't, and I would love to get the rundown from.
Sure, yeah, that works. And I think the altar technician, again, kind of unerring, kind of like long, weird, inhuman stare, just says, of course, all participants should be informed of the latest procedures. Don't need any hiccups at this stage, do we now? Very well, and let's have you roll.
Yeah. And this was focus?
Sorry, focus, yeah.
All right, it's an 8.
Nice. I think I'm just going to say the clue is that they are as they're speaking, they sort of tell you that, like, well, we are the subjects require a bit more preparation than normal, and you can tell based on previous experiences here that these poor remaining skeleton family members, I believe this will be brother and sister skeleton, no, and baby, yeah, have all been affected by laminar. And so they seem a little bit like dreamlike and confused, and not quite registering what's going on. They're not really struggling particular. They're just kind of like being led. And they're saying, through purifying the vessel. And you also see that maybe there's like a hint of that, like they almost look like a little more than pale. They're not fully like translucent like that other body we've seen, but there's that kind of strange thing where you can almost see their blood vessels a little more than normal. It's like by purging, purifying the vessels a little bit, we do make room for full, you know, inhabitation, full embodiment. And we've found, and I think they're kind of patiently explaining this to Zeph, the intern who was here on our first day. Instead of doing this sort of over time, one subject at a time, we were able to do sort of a more effective group procedure, and we found that things can be the results are greatly accelerated. Thank you. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think while he's explaining to Zeph, Merriweather is kind of looking over the skeletons, their eyes full of worry, and she's seeing that they're totally like checked out, right? So I think she kind of leans into Zeph, like while the altar technician is still talking, and she says, Zeph, I'm gonna do something really stupid.
Ooh, I think for fun as a complication, though, I'm gonna say, and this is up to you, Elle, how you want to play it. I think maybe one of them does snap out of it and recognizes you.
Oh, that hurts.
Do I take a condition as well?
No, I think it'll just be the complication of just like it might be kind of blowing your cover, or they're acting a little odd. But I think brother just starts to say, like, blinks and stares at you and says, like, this isn't inside. We should be back. You know better. We should be with mother. And starts to kind of like snap out of his drug-induced state and kind of starts to struggle and just says, like, she knows. So yeah, what do you do, Merriweather?
Merriweather is, I think she has like a briefcase with her, because Rosemary Butcher would have one. And I think she pulls out two things and then lets the briefcase drop to the floor. One of them is a microphone stained with blood that is not plugged in, but nonetheless makes this like screeching sound, the way that microphones do when you like put them too close to each other. And in that moment of, distraction potentially, she's also pulling out her plastic prop gun and putting it to the altar technician's head, and she just yells, "Bang!"
Amazing. Is this triggering a moves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's triggering, hopefully getting the skeletons out of here.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Through
Great.
violence.
Yeah. I just, when you said bang, I was like, are you making this into a real gun? I was just curious.
I think she is, but I don't know if that is in itself a move. I don't know. You tell me.
Is that this could be all the world's a stage kind of thing if you want it to be. We can or it can just be using your items to kind of cause a disruption here, or a distraction.
Yeah, I think I'll mark my blood-stained microphone. I think she yells bang into the mic, actually.
Well, great. Yeah. Yeah, let's come back to that roll and set it up. I want to get to the other custodians real quick. You are both you're down in the sublevels, presumably to kind of like learn something else here, get some other information. But I think as this weird breach is kind of exuding these luminous pores, you will both become aware that there is, I guess for fun, I would love to ask both Bastion and Dr. Quick, how are you aware that there is a saint emerging in this room, like fully manifesting or completing its transformation?
Are the side characters still with us?
Yeah, I think the containment, the specialist is with you.
Then if you allow it, I'm imagining maybe
Yeah.
the specialist in talking to us has stepped just a little bit too close to the luminous goop, and it very much just begins to climb up his leg.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think there is just, I mean, obviously what's going on is obviously supernatural. It's obviously of the divine, but I think there's just a very, very specific feeling of weight to the air that is sort of associated with sainthood, that feeling of like presence and importance that just kind of is unmistakable.
Yeah. And I think actually I love the detail of as that air, that vibration, that feeling in the air grows like thicker and stronger. And sorry, his name was Dredge, the containment specialist. This like weird oil slick kind of like touching his foot, and it's almost like that thing where like if you ever see those videos of like starfish or like where there's like ice forming underwater, like a time lapse thing. So it's kind of like it touches him and it kind of like going up and like containing and covering his whole body. He just kind of like becomes like frozen, and then kind of starts to like vibrate and just like mutate in front of you. Yeah, this whole iridescent glowing mass just kind of starts to like spread out of the room through this containment specialist, kind of breaking through his mouth, branching out of his arms, almost like his bones are becoming sort of these glowing living pieces of coral stretching towards the two of you. It's spreading alarmingly fast. You kind of have a choice here to try to run back the way you came or go deeper, but you kind of don't have much time. How do you all react?
I think that Bastion is going to again go to his backpack and pull out the head of kindly Captain Codswallop, the sort of plastic saint that he's been carrying around with him, which was previously touched by the living polymer, because this feels like a very similar entity, and is going to try and I don't know quite the right word I want to use here. Lure it, maybe trap it, something like that in this plastic head.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah. I think that will be the revelation move.
Yeah, that sounds
using
fair.
that item would give you advantage. Yeah, you're doing great coming in here without conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you afraid? I mean, things that go wrong here, obviously you've just seen what would happen if this thing touches you. I think the way that it gosh, how is it even worse than that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I think the fear here is that the Bastion's body is going to be consumed entirely by this thing.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's have to roll with communion, but with advantage.
That is a 5.
No, Dr. Quick, you see in front of you as Bastion kind of holds this vessel, right? It was sort of like the statue. It just moves and spreads and mutates faster than you could predict here as it's breaking out into the space, and it just like fills that that strange body, and it looks for a moment like it's contained, and then it just kind of like bursts out even bigger, and just as soon as it touches Bastion, it spreads through his form, and you know, his limbs growing longer, kind of extending, kind of filling up the whole space, branching out in every direction, like this strange angelic starfish of glowing living polymer. Unless David wants to mark a verse there.
I am, and I feel like this is an appropriate moment to mark the sweltering crucible. So I narrate a scene in the present day showing how you are strong in your faith again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we see this coral starting to surge towards Bastion. And he just looks to his side, and there's a woman dressed all in white standing next to him. And she just turns her head very slightly towards him and just gives the faintest sort of quirk of a smile. But she doesn't reach for him, and she just takes a step backwards, and Bastion just turns back towards the coral and kind of stands firm in the face of it.
Love that. And that's very fitting, because the rest of your verse there does say, you can see the maiden whenever you look for her, gesturing silently or whispering fragmented portents. Once per session, when you ask what she's trying to tell you, the keeper will answer in the form of a conspiracy clue related to death or ruin. So in this case, maybe think about that. I would love to give you another clue, just trailing off of that move. Let's get back to the others. Then we'll kind of come back and see what the doctor might be up to as well. Merriweather draws out the stage, the prop gun, and yells bang. And I didn't mean to overcomplicate it, Elle. If you want to do more of like one of your special moves, or if this is just tell me what you want to do here.
Yeah, this feels like what is a veiled move to me.
Yeah. Are you just trying to like scare them off?
I think if this works, she probably kills the ulcer technician.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah. And then she'll hopefully get to work busting the skeletons out of here.
Amazing. I don't think I even know who these cats are. I think I don't know. Like, they're just some random people to Zeph.
Oh yeah, you never met them. Is Merriweather the only person who met them?
Yes.
Directly? Maybe so. Wow. Yes. That's sad, but that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I met Mother, and so I know what they're talking about. I don't know these cats that you're gonna kill a guy for, and I love this.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do the roll. Veiled move, obviously. I mean, things will basically proceed. Only your cover will be blown is kind of the outcome on the table. Mm-hmm. I don't know what this would be. I guess communion, if you're kind of invoking the Watcher here. Sure. Unless you have a different idea. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I am gonna mark the microphone, so I don't know if I'm at if that makes it a regular roll or whether I have advantage. You tell me.
Let's do advantage. Let's see what happens.
Okay. Ooh. Nice one. It's a 13.
Nice. With a 13, again, because I forget, we said this was like a prop gun, but maybe this is actually not a prop gun. I will let you take over if you want to like add on to. Basically, this will kill the altar technician, but if there's any flavor you want to add to the Watcher manifesting here, feel free.
Yeah, I think Merriweather yells bang, and it sort of, the sound reverberates through the corridor, and there's like this maybe strange, like stunned silence. And Merriweather herself isn't sure whether it works until the altar technician just like falls back with this like kind of wet thud, clearly dead. Um, and as he does so, we see that from the prop gun, there's like one of those little flags that like literally says like bang on it. Um, and Merriweather, I think, is gonna grab Zeph in one hand, and brother in the other, and go. I'm pretty sure it covers one. I think we have to go.
You think? Maybe just a little. Who is this now? Who's helping us? Just gesturing to brother, like who is this rando? That's clearly our associate now.
Oh, my brother, my sister.
Oh my. Yeah, okay. And like are they all tied up together? Like how's that like? Because I think Zeph is gonna try to start to wrangle these people like they're toddlers, like with the little ropes like on their wrists. Oh, you're muted, Gabriel.
Sorry, I said, yeah, no, that sounds more chaotic. Let's go with it. I think, yeah, they're connected together, like they're being led in as one unit. So
perfect.
There is still that other security guy who's behind.
Oh, don't worry.
So yeah, I think that might fall on Zeph, I'm gonna say, to figure something out here.
I know exactly what I'm gonna do.
I do want to give
go ahead, please.
I just want to give you all one clue again with that 13, because we're getting close to probably needing to figure out how you want to answer this question. I think yeah, I'm just doing things falling out of people's coats today. I think as the altar technician falls, and I think you see, well, two things with the 13. We'll say you get an item. There is a, ironically, there's a tranquilizer gun that was kind of in their belt. And I think as you kind of look, there's almost like a safety like tab you pull to like pull the safety off, and it just says sort of like in case of sainthood. But also some notes fall. I think they had where'd I put it? It's actually a dog-eared safety instruction handbook, but it contains handwritten amendments, like either workarounds or additions, or just like things that they've actually observed and developed that aren't even part of protocol yet, is a clue. So item and a clue, and yeah, back to you, Zeph.
Oh, amazing. So did the security guard see us, or do we have to go through to get out?
He was leading them towards the hangar. So you're in between the hangar and security guard. Yeah.
Okay. Merriweather, who has my hand and brother's hand, and I just turn to her and say, you might want to stay back and let go, and go over to the security guard and just grab his face and sacred conduit. Just absolutely fry him.
Amazing. Let's see. Let's look at that move again, because it's been a minute. Or do you have it in front of you?
I have it right in front of me.
Yeah.
So this is when you channel the divine currents of the Saint Electric, mark a charge box, make your next roll with advantage. It's literally channeling the divine currents. I roll with what is it? Vitality. And once I mark all three, something special happens, and this is the third mark. So when the track is full, an arc of raw divine current erupts from your body. Roll with vitality, and then you get to see what happens if you do a good job or not. So this is a real dramatic one, folks.
Oh, you saved those. This is the third time you've used it in the whole campaign, so you just saved up the charge.
I did. I've been saving it for a dramatic moment.
Amazing. All right. Rolling with vitality. Do you want to mark anything here?
Yeah, I'm gonna mark some stuff. I'm gonna mark one thing at least, because you can like double advantage or some shit like that. Actually, instead of grabbing his face, I take the sanctified cables out of my bag and put it on both sides of his neck. Yeah, John gets it. John gets it. Absolutely. Just absolutely stab this dude in the neck with some divinely electrified cables.
It's like a jump start to sainthood here.
Exactly. We're just sort of upgrading to fuck yeah. Thank you. Thank you. The Saint Electric will be here forever.
Yeah. So vitality with advantage. What was it about? Oh, because you mark it. Sorry, I'm catching up. Oh, I see. You roll with advantage. If something else gives you advantage, then you actually get double advantage. So that's where you're marking your cables. Is that right?
Yes, I'm marking my cables to get double advantage on this.
Yeah.
And then I roll separately to see if I die horribly doing this, or somebody gets shocked, or goodness knows what. So 6, 11. Wait, am I with? That's with vitality. That's with vitality. I know what that is. 6, 12.
There we go.
Zap.
I mean, you get to describe what happens to him. I'm going to say as part of the 12. This is maybe an advantage, maybe complicated. I think the hangar door, I think something just short circuits and like the hangar door just like slides open and lights start to, you hear like sizzling and like there's sparks and there's various things burning. You hear absolute pandemonium from inside the hangar.
Wicked.
Maybe you were standing on, there's some sort of conductive materials, and you're well, actually we get to find that out as well, but that's part of the advantage I'll give you. Sweet. But what else do we see?
Well, Zeph is always conductive. He's the opposite of grounded, as a follower of the Saint Electric. So that's probably why the entire place, like the lights just burst for a second. Everything is blindingly bright and you can smell burning flesh. Kind of smells like actual cooked meat. And it smells good for about 0.5 seconds before there's the rancid smell of burning hair and actual burning human flesh. This dude absolutely gets home alone in the worst way. And I imagine like you see it go through from the ground through Zeph into this guy, and he just with electricity. And Zeph lets go, leaving the sanctified cables in his neck, and he is still coursing with this gorgeous electricity. He looks like a lava lamp, or like one of those little like balls that you could touch and like the electricity would come to your fingertips, little glass balls. He looks like that. And Zeph just looks over at Merriweather. Problem solved, probably.
Oh my god, I could kiss you. I mean, I won't. I don't.
You could. You probably shouldn't right now.
Not right now. Electricity.
We'll circle back to this.
We'll circle back to it. We'll circle back.
So you get to choose one of those options. One of them is you can just get a clue. Yeah. What do you want to choose from your little menu there?
Let's see. The divine lightning charge discharges safe without striking anyone nearby is one. Mechanical objects nearby are unaffected and do not become a danger. Or the divine current reveals a clue. Tell the keeper what it is. Oh God, no pressure. I don't want to strike anyone nearby because I don't want the skeletons to get got. And I would like a clue, and I think the clue is that whatever is in the hangar that would just got opened up, like it reacts to this security guard's pseudo sainthood somehow. Like it notices.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Not me, even like his body, whatever's going on with him. Like it notices the divinity in it and somehow reacts. I'm leaving it open because I don't know what would work.
Yeah, we can fill in that. But the saint, and actually I'll come back in we will get to see that in a moment and describe it a little more. But yeah, if you just want to make a note of that clue, that would be awesome. I want to cut over to the others. John, we haven't seen Dr. Quick in a minute here. A lot of weird things just happened in front of him, of course. We did change that full miss into a mixed success, so Bastion will be getting some kind of clue. But yeah, what are you doing in the meantime?
Okay, so we're getting a clue out of this. Is the way kind of open, or is this horrible luminous coral saint still blocking our path?
Ooh, I like yeah, just for fun, let's say that it is because we did describe it breaking out of that room. It is basically blocked off the way you came. You'll have to, again, we can figure it out. You'll have to find some other way up or go further along. But yeah, but it hasn't touched Bastion.
Okay.
Or killed Bastion anyway. Yeah.
Okay, so we have to kind of get past it and keep moving forward is basically the situation we're in. Yeah, I guess Dr. Quick is gonna just look at Bastion and say, all right, this was another bad idea. We're full of them, but it's okay. I think I have this. And there is his final alter item, which I had no idea how I was ever going to use, but now might be the chance. It was a skull of muscle and skin growing slowly back. And so this is very mysterious, but what I have in mind is that this is maybe like some trophy of the Pox Martyr, that it's trying to heal organically flesh. So he's maybe going to see if he lobs it at this saint, is it going to try and cure the saint or kind of heal over all these wounds that have burst open with the coral? He's trying to induce some kind of biological reaction, basically, with a live grenade.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really fun. I think I'm interested to see this as like an information move.
Okay.
Because because we've already kind of had Bastion deal with that, and it's like we've established it's not an immediate dangerous place. But also, I guess, David, do you have anything you want to add? Does your clue influence this situation at all, or do you want to hold on to it?
No, I'm happy to hold on to it because I think that is more connected to the maiden herself. So yeah, no, I think that's
cool.
That's fine.
Yeah, I like the idea that like you, Dr. Quick, you're like just clear enough where you can kind of like do this and see what happens because it's already done its thing. So maybe this could be with insight or communion, your choice.
Insight would be ideal.
Yeah.
Cool. And I'm taking the advantage of the item if you're marking me down elsewhere.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. So that is a 5 and a 5 and a 2. That is going to be 12.
Oh, this is working out very well for us. Trying not to go over too late today, getting some successes at the end. Awesome. Okay, with a 12, I think. Let's see. I think. Ooh, I'm gonna have to think about that. Would you like to describe what your success looks like though? Because it will, as you said, kind of neutralize in some way or heal or transform this to a safer form.
Yeah, I imagine that from a certain point of view of absolute medical purity, almost anything is an abnormality, right? So this kind of coral saint does have these absurd polymer growths, but he also still has hands and feet and all these things, toenails, hair, all of it is an abnormality. And so as the skull just kind of lands in the middle of it, pure, pristine, clear skin just starts to graft over, just covering up the coral, which kind of fights and struggles, but is ultimately restrained, covering up the remnants of his face until there is just a ball of skin, just a giant kind of struggling ball of unbroken skin rolling around in front of us.
Okay, I found a weird clue that can add on to that. I think I love how we keep finding new flavors of horrifying here. this sort of ball of skin, this massive form, I think it kind of is gently rocking, kind of rolls, bumps into a wall, almost like, you know, one of the cat toys or balls is kind of like rolling on its own, hitting furniture. And your clue is actually it hits a wall, and then it like is stuck for a second, and then there's a sudden the wall just like, or the ceiling above the wall just gives way, and there is just this flood, this free fall of soil just kind of like covers. There seems to be some false panel. It seems to be like a safety measure, in case something went off, which it did, just didn't really do it sooner in a helpful way. But it is this just cascade of consecrated soil of some kind that just floods down from above. And as there's kind of a big heap mostly filling the hallway, but you can now climb your way up, and you kind of see a little like dingy safety ladder on the side of the wall, and there's like a passage leading up. So with that 12, that's a clue, and also also a way out. So as a clue, you know, make it that way you want. There's a false barrier giving way to a room full of other substances. It's like a safety measure.
And I think in reaction to that, as this sort of like cascade of soil comes down and covers over the creature, I think I'm going to invoke the clue from my from the Cairn Maiden now, and I'm just going to again turn. Bastion just turns to his left and sees the woman there again, and just says, "Who else do we need to bury here?"
Oh, and I answer in the form of a
yes. Yep.
Yeah. Ooh, this is great. I think you will both. Well, I guess you will see the vision of this. I think we'll do this thing where at the same time, Merriweather and Zeph will see this. So you're getting the sort of psychic vision, spiritual vision of it. You see the form that is floating in the hangar. If I can actually scroll to it myself. It is, you know, we described earlier those kind of different synthetic fibers and IV tubing and wires and prayer beads just kind of floating upward and upward. And there are various cameras trained on in different angles in the testing hangar. There's different lights. Some of things have fizzled. Some equipment has just completely gone out. But we see this kind of shadowy, shimmering, once humanoid form that is kind of like drifting, almost like they're buoyant, like a balloon. They're floating. They're just faintly tethered to all these different cords, floating in the up at the top of this chamber. And when they kind of move, it's almost like there are these slow after images, which make their limbs look almost like shadowy feathers as they just kind of like vibrate and kind of drift and move, as if they're dreaming. But we can see that they're kind of in pain. They're sort of being tethered, but maybe these various IVs and cords and tubes are, you know, are how some of these test processes are being carried out. They're being injected. They're being, you know, various signals and substances and things are kind of going in and out, being measured. And this figure is sort of caught in between. It's kind of trying to float and trying to go towards this hangar ceiling, which is this big glass dome, to break free to the sky. And then it's being dragged down to the earth towards all this torment. And Bastion just gets this message of sort of like, you know, this one doesn't have a place here. It was brought in here in a way that was not right. And it would be a kindness to free it. And yeah, so that's Bastion sees that, that's a clue. It's basically seeing this kind of final experiment or test subject, which if it wasn't being spelled out very well, a lot of the Dusk Mother going on, a lot of the various experiments are all kind of being mashed together. I want to cut over to Zeph and Merriweather just to actually, I think you're all able to see this. I think it's probably, as far as our timing goes, a good time to try to answer a question here because you have a lot of clues.
I agree.
Maybe puts in context a little bit. Do we want to just go ahead and do that, or do we want to take a short break to think about it?
Could we have like 1 or 2 minutes, like a really short break?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's do like 2-minute break.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, we're back from our break, and we're going to try to answer this question. See what all these strange clues and occurrences mean here. We've got 2, 3, 8 clues. Pretty solid for a complexity 4. I'll just read through them real quick and then hand it over to you all. So we have the blueprints of a complex ritual, which were dropped by the research assistant. The skeletons family are test subjects, and they are under the influence of laminar, that drug, which sort of makes sacrifices calm and placid. There's a dog-eared safety instruction handbook containing handwritten amendments that the altar technician had on them. And the test subject itself, the sort of final project in the hangar, noticed the security guard's sainted body and reacted in some way. There was also the ceiling, the sort of false wall giving way to a whole room of consecrated soil as a safety measure. And the test subject itself is attempting to break free. This was the clue from the maiden, just illustrating that this being was sort of caught between, sort of like between heaven and earth in ways, or was the way was brought into being, or the way it's being experimented on is sort of wrong in some way, and it's kind of can't really exist in this world fully or something. I'm going to leave that wide open, of course. Any thoughts to start this off? What do you all think? Well, and I should rephrase the question, sorry, which is, what is the Institute's, get the right wording here. How does the Institute plan to implement their project? Basically, what are they trying to do with all of this?
I have thoughts, but I don't want to just be like, here's my pitch. So does anybody else have thoughts? Because I'm a yapper.
I think I was just thinking of, like, to get a couple of the more mundane ones out of the way. And also I feel, what is obvious just from the very nature of the Institute. I think the motion sensors and the one-way mirrors all kind of obviously imply working at a bit of a distance to this thing, because it is obviously very, very dangerous. Whatever that overall plan is, it is, funnily enough, it's not a safe thing to be working with.
I love that. That actually works really well with my initial thought of, like, they are trying to build a god that they can control and contain, and that is placid and will only work when they want it to. And that does not require feeding outside of what they designate, not what the god asks for. And that's what they're trying to make this sort of final test subject into. The laminar making people placid, that whole, like, theme, the amount of complex sort of safety measures that they recognize, like David said, everything here that they're doing is super dangerous, because getting this close to divinity is dangerous, and trying to control it is even more so. And even with this thing being placid, it's not safe. And so they're trying to, like, they're probably going to sacrifice a bunch of innocent people to feed this thing and keep it, like, placid and safe, and probably, I don't know, use it as a big fucking battery for war, a nuke, I don't know, something really bad. Something
There's
unethical.
Also, with the Dusk Mother kind of part of it, it's almost sort of like vaguely like shadowy and cloak like, and who knows, it floats, like that's even more dangerous maybe.
And there's probably like some sort of aspect of surveillance and control with the whole Dusk Mother thing, with the laminar thing, with the motion sensors and the blueprints and the one-way mirrors. Like there's a lot of like my thoughts are very thematic. They're not like super concrete. So
are we thinking the blueprints were this ritual basically?
100%.
Yeah, makes sense. Pretty straightforward.
Go
ahead.
Sorry. B, you said it's a battery, and obviously the skeletons are involved as owl people. We also said that whatever's in the hangar notices the security guard's sainted body. I think this isn't just like a being of light or whatever. I think what this thing does is it devours humans, whether alive or dead, and as owls regurgitate gizzards, this then regurgitates energy. So it almost that's the process that happens. So maybe the consecrated soil, maybe that isn't soil at all. Maybe that's the kind of the remnants of what it spat back up and has been used.
That's so nasty. And that works really thematically with the side character of the director, whose like entire room and suit sort of eats light, like this like weird sort of overarching consuming.
Yeah. I'm wondering actually as well, because obviously if it took notice of the guard when they became sainted, and it also seemed to contain the coral flesh thing that was obviously going through a process of harrowing. I'm wondering if this is also specifically an entity that is designed to consume the divinity of other gods and their servants.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I really like that because I was thinking about the Maiden's request of Bastion. It feels like perhaps the creation of this new god is specifically an affront to the Maiden. So if indeed like this process involves eating up the divinity of other gods, that totally makes sense why she would be invested.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So this entity is this sort of all-consuming thing, and I think that we can get the dog-eared safety instruction handbook containing handwritten amendments. It is constantly changing. That's why everything is so dangerous here. That's why there's so much like security issues going on, is that this thing is constantly evolving depending upon what it's eating. Like it's constantly shifting and changing in this weird ethereal sort of mass.
And also
Universal Harvester. Yes.
I think it's very useful. When the doctor was going to initially be that test subject there, it was very it was like, oh yeah, just go in there and see what happens. Like just observe it. It's fine. You don't need to do anything. Obviously that means you're going to get eaten. But the way that I think that was interesting, the way that the director figure was sort of going right along with like, oh, you got a weird little egg god. Sure, let's see what happens. Like seemed to kind of accept whatever strangeness was being brought in. Might imply that they were, again, trying to just feed different things to test different reactions.
I love this.
I think that's interesting. I mean, and so they're implementing it. Like how it was implied that it's almost like this military surveillance kind of thing. They're implementing it by continuing to just like feed it all sorts of things. I think also from what I've described, how it was like kind of hanging and floating. Maybe that's how it was being close to its form, where it maybe when they felt stable or that they could control it, it would actually just like float, fly, and be untethered. I think we've explained our clues. Does anyone want to add or change anything? Are we feeling pretty happy with that? Yeah, Universal Harvester. And thanks for, I've skipped a couple of those clues, so thanks for reading them out. So that gives us +4. on the roll. Who wants to roll it, or do some folks want to each roll a dice? Whatever you want to do.
I think pressure, B should get to roll at least one for bringing that home, right?
All right, somebody else has to roll it with me. I will not do this by myself. I refuse to be the only culpable person here.
One from each group here, maybe.
Yeah. Someone volunteer. John, you volunteered me.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We got a +4 as long as we both don't roll a 1.
As long as we don't both roll 1, we're fine.
That's what you say before you roll. Yeah.
That's what we say. That's absolutely what you say before the roll. Oh man. You ready? Oh shit. Yeah.
I got a 2.
I got a 6.
Okay.
Hey.
Wow, okay.
Hey!
There you go. So
the trophy dice you gave me.
Nice. The force provides.
The force provides.
Full success. And again, just because of we're trying to wrap our time. I think that's great. I think we can do, I would love to get a montage of how each of you are. We haven't really established what you want to do here. I've kind of thrown this situation at you, but I guess again, broadly, this is maybe implicating you or using all of your work in a way to do something much, much worse. So it probably you want to, destroy or free or sever that somehow. We have the Care Maiden kind of angle on that, of course. So I would love to just get a bit of how each custodian contributes to how you handle this, and then maybe we could do some brief. If anyone has verses, we can narrate those. Otherwise, it would be kind of fun to do some quick epilogue scenes if we have a little bit of time. But I won't try to go over.
We got to do an epilogue. I'm sorry. Yeah. I will go a few minutes over time to do an epilogue. We need one.
Yeah, well, we can cut forward in time. We can do whatever. We can say you have all managed to, the party below is climbing up that ladder. You are all in the same place to do this, whatever that looks like. Yeah, scene is yours.
I mean, I think no matter what we're doing, Zeph's on demolitions. This is just sort of his vibe. This is this whole thing.
I quite like the idea of maybe turning the entity against the institute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man, is Bastion gonna do that? That's cool.
Sounds very cool.
I think Merriweather might be able to help with that by I guess sort of using the skeletons as bait, but making sure that they don't get hurt, but sort of letting the part of this entity that is the Dusk Mother see that her children are in harm's way.
Oh, that's good.
That sounds like a plan. I think maybe Dr. Quick will step back from this kind of devastation, and he is just gonna, as a good doctor does, go throughout the institute in the kind of the wake of the presumable rampage that this universal harvester might commit, and he'll just, where people are injured, he will help them. They might have been his enemy once, but he will tend to them, and just as he is wandering the devastated halls doing that, he will be quietly hoovering up any papers related to the project or to the custodians and just slipping them into his satchel for safekeeping.
Oh, hell yeah. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop as you were talking. I was like, there's no way. There's no way he's just helping people.
I haven't learned a thing.
Listen, no, none of us have experienced character growth. Yeah, I think Zeph is 100% taking out all of the security measures. All of the electrical security measures, all of the doors that might bar this entity from doing what we all want it to do. And sure, that might allow the scientists to escape as well. That's not my problem. They can't do their jobs anymore, and they probably don't want to. So I'm not in the business of locking people in places, but I am in the business of frying security systems and electrical systems and, you know, their whole place. It might burn down, but I'm going to try to keep that from happening with my friends in it. So that's for later.
And I think maybe we sort of get that as the experiment has sort of run through the facility, there's that moment where it's almost like kind of panting and out of breath at the end of it, and Bastion walks up to it and kind of wraps an arm around its neck almost in an embrace, and then pulls out the machete and just draws it along the underside of its throat.
Oh wow, yeah,
that's so cool. Jesus.
I think it's this strange, and it's like it lets you put its arm around it, and almost the other arm is kind of like hanging on, like, as it's injured, kind of like leaning an arm on you and understanding, I think, what you're offering as it kind of then dissipates. If this were a movie, we would have, I'm going to do sort of like when you have that newspaper montage of articles and things. These aren't newspaper articles necessarily. These are files and pieces of paper and documents on various desks of the Bureau. And there's sort of reports. There's correspondence. There's many meetings. There's more other paperwork that's destroyed. There's a lot of documents with a lot of sections blacked out. But the most important thing is, first of all of you, with very little explanation, are sort of given paid leave. And it sort of comes with, whatever that form is called, like what's it called? I can't remember. You basically have to sign it. You can't speak about this, right?
NDAs.
Thank you. I had the letters wrong in my head. Brain's getting fried here. NDA, yeah. It's sort of like enjoy your vacation, work well done, and also like you can never speak about any of this. Some very sort of polite but kind of unsettling corporate language reminding you of the nature of your contracts. And then we cut to a person being interviewed by the Bureau. This is looks like a lab tech. Their lab coat is torn, muddied, like they've just been like stumbling through the winding briars and rocks, escaping the site of the facility of the institute. And their witness statement is taken, and they're just spilling out all sorts of wild things that they saw, and someone is very patiently taking note of this and saying, well, we're really sorry this has happened to you. You do understand no one's going to believe you. In fact, no one will be able to hear you because you will never be able to speak of any of this again. But I do have good news for you. And they like turn this folder around, and it is a contract to become a custodian. And this like just bleary-eyed, broken down, torn up scientist is just kind of like reaching for the pen and just sighs and signs the contract. We could cut forward if anyone has any, just it can be very brief, it can be whatever you would like. Cut forward in time. This could be you on your vacation or when you get back to work. What's the last little like epilogue moment you would like to give us with your custodian? Okay. No pressure, sorry.
I think we're in Dr. Quick's very kind of shiny, empty glass house, and we hear the kind of keys in the door. Door swings open. He comes home from a day at work, and We probably don't get to see his brother Edmund's grave, but we do see that Dr. Quick is now visibly taking on a great deal more of the symptoms of his patients. He no longer has that kind of well-groomed mid-50s look. He looks like a man who is ingesting a lot of regular diseases, injuries, and he wears it heavily, but there's a bit more of a smile on his face. And the house is empty as it always was, but he just goes and gets himself a coffee and he sits with a sigh. And on his stainless steel fridge, there are just pinned up photos of Lucas, Zeph, Bastion, and Merriweather, his friends and custodians. And he's alone as he always was, but he smiles to himself and he thinks, life's not too bad.
I think piggybacking off of this, we see one of the photos that everyone took together. And I think Lucas was the one who insisted upon it and had someone else take it. And it's a little Polaroid. We're all outside the van at some gas station. And it's of everyone. And despite everything, we all like at least bemused because Lucas looks delighted. And then we pan to the farm where Lucas is staying with Joy and their dad, and Zeph rolls up in this. It's a shitty van. It's always a shitty van, but it's not the custodian van. And Lucas is like, and the dad's like, the fuck is this? And when Zeph steps out, he steps out with a little toy that he definitely 100% got Dr. Quick to pick out, probably despite everything. And there's something for Joy too, but he gives it to Lucas and said, I told you we'd come back.
I think we see kind of a long shot from behind Bastion. He's looking out over kind of a valley that's like, lots of trees, lots of flowers. It's just a beautiful spot, obviously out in the wilderness somewhere. And as the camera kind of pans around and closer into him, we can see just sort of in front of where he's stood is a small patch of freshly turned earth. And we can see his sort of motorbike behind him. And he just takes another moment to just take in the view, and then hops on his motorbike and, revs the engine. And just as he starts to drive off, we just see a pair of pale white hands wrapping around his stomach as he obviously has a passenger behind him.
I think we hear the tuk 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 sound of a knife on a cutting board, and we see Merriweather in a kitchen. The layout of it is familiar, but it's much cleaned up from the last time we saw it. Like all the blood has been scoured from the tiles. The tufts of owl feathers have been swept from the corners. And out of the window that Merriweather is standing in front of, we can see Skeleton Ranch, and it looks like someone has started to work the earth again to care for it, since Mother is no longer here to do so. And as Merriweather turns with a plate in hand, a plate like stacked full of meat, she smiled and says, dinner is served. And through the archway into the dining room, we see brother and sister and baby and Carrie Weathers and Rosemary Butcher. And they're all just like sitting, talking, waiting for food. And I think we cut abruptly, and it seems like we're cutting forward in time. We do see the custodian van, the like bias logo on the hood, and we see Merriweather again, kind of reaching over to turn on the AC, and she says, maybe uncharacteristically, laconically, "Hot in here." She takes off her anorak. We see there's no prayer mark tattoo there between her shoulder blades. And as the camera sort of zooms in on her face, niece smiles, looking out the window of the van, and then winks at the camera.
What an ending. Fantastic. Oh man. So it's late for our UK folks here. I want to do stars and wishes. If you need to do yours first and jump off, no worries. And this can be for the session, can be for the campaign in general, but I will let whoever wants to go first take it away.
Yeah, I'll jump in first, I guess. I shouldn't have done that because I now can't think of what I want to say other than like it's just been a fantastic series. I've loved every minute of it. This session was great. Just the way everything kind of pulled together and wrapped up. It was great, really seeing everyone just yeah kind of really leaning into their characters, bringing some really great stuff out. I always love sort of those little montage bits where we just get to see kind of those really pure expressions of what everyone's characters is. The good doctor actually being a good doctor. The yeah, Zeph getting a chance to burn everything down. And that kind of again that link between Merriweather and the skeletons, which obviously came through in the epilogue too. Just like yeah, it was just great getting to see all those sort of last moments of these characters who I had a lot of fun with. No, been really lovely. I could, every moment in this session and most of the series has been worthy of stars. But yeah, I'll leave things there. I think otherwise I will be here all night. But yeah.
Yeah, I had a really fantastic time. Thank you, Gabriel. I really loved how you brought in this what I will now think of as a universal harvester, this sort of energy beam god that also had elements of the Dust Mother on there. That was really cool. David, I loved Bastion's just absolute calmness and even casualness in the face of almost certain death. I thought it just such a treat and a joy to be in direct peril with you. I loved getting to do the little "don't die" moment with you. I thought that was so much fun and such a touching little note. And Elle absolutely loved as I were floundering in bad improv, Merriweather swooping in and kind of saving the day, at least until Bastion had to come along with the shovel was wonderful. I really loved all those epilogues. I think my one enduring kind of star is it's partly for Elle, but I think it's also really very much for the game and the game's creators and you, Gabriel, is I could never have expected before this campaign that the skeletons, who I think in the assignment are very Texas Chainsaw Massacre coded, they're out in their creepy cabin in the woods, worshipping the big threat of the campaign, of the assignment. I could never anticipated that you would end up with them actually being this wonderful surrogate family that we're rooting for. And that's just, I think it's a credit to good role playing, but also just a credit to how wonderfully flexible and spurring the imagination this game is. So well done.
Yeah, I was so sad to miss the first part of the session, but so delighted when I jumped in and everything was already going scarily wrong. I yeah, I had a great time this entire campaign. It was really fun to play with you, John, for the first time. Um, and just some stars from this session. I love the moment of Zeph electrifying the security guard. Um, it was a cool thing to do, but it was also like so like epically described by you, B. I thought it was amazing. I loved Dr. Quick's improv moment. I just really enjoyed seeing Dr. Quick kind of discover his sense of humor over the course of the campaign. I thought that was a fun little subplot. Just the doctor becoming a little silly. I think that's great. And Bastion's mercy killing of the experimental god at the end there was like so dope. So good. Yeah, I'm happy Lucas ended up mostly okay in the end. It was looking a little dicey for him there, but he came through. And yeah, Gabriel, thank you for running. Thank you for writing the whole game. And thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
I could gush forever, and you all know this because I adore you all and I adore this game, and this was such a cool way to cap this off. I mean, I'm gonna echo the stars. I'm gonna add because like Bastion mercy killing a god or godling that whipped. I think there's the calmness with which he went, well, it's time, and just whacked a person in the head with a shovel is just, I think, a testament to how great Bastion is as a character, that felt really in character. And it didn't feel like this was some sort of deus ex machina. You're like, no, this is exactly what he would do. And he would be very chill about it. I love I'm just gonna go around the table about like just generally the characters that I love. I love Bastion's whole arc. I loved getting to play with a Karen Maiden person, like, because I really love this god as a concept. I love this playbook, and you just embodied this playbook so like wholeheartedly. And I really loved the way you approached death as a concept in your flashbacks in the current space. And every time one of us brought it up, you were like, you had the perfect answers every time, even when we put you on the spot, which I really appreciate how you did that in the elevator, because I recognized I put you on the spot about halfway through our conversation. I was like, oh, oops. And you handled it with such it's so delightful to get to role play with you. And this was my first game with you, David, and it was an absolute blast. Just genuinely delicious. Love it, love it, love it. It was also my first game with you, John, despite actually knowing you before this. I love Dr. Quick. You know I love Dr. Quick. I do have to echo what Elle said about like the subplot of you discovering your sense of humor, like as like over the course of the campaign was really, really cool. I really loved that. I loved your egg improv. That took me out. Like I was not expecting you to do that shit at all. I never expect, like, you always pull some wild shit out. I'm like, okay, this is why I want you to talk first. This is wild, and I love it. And I think it comes from your obvious deep understanding of the world, but also just your skill as a role player, and it just and you really knowing this character and your whole subplot with your brother. This that entire star for that entire thing, and how you ended it. Just a subtle mention of his grave. I'm like, yes! Oh, that was such a great epilogue with his grave. Like the trunk will, yeah, I agree, Elle, the trunk will haunt me. I will think about that forever. And I really loved how you did it. I loved co-parenting with you with this NPC. That was really fun. I also loved getting to do the don't die, the dramatic like, hey, don't die moment. I appreciate having that space to do that. And I loved getting to role play with you, and I want to get to play a game with you again because you're an absolute gem. Yes. Elle, I love playing with you. You know this. We have played one game before this, and my goodness gracious, you are like a powerhouse of a role player. You are so good at this. And I love your character. You, like, the Watcher in the Wings is such a wild playbook, and you were like, hey, I'm gonna make up 12 different NPCs and also interact with all of these other NPCs so smoothly, so perfectly, felt seamless. It was amazing. Specifically from this game, the bang, getting the mic out and the fake gun and saying bang and killing a guy. Oh my God, that was good. And just being, I'm gonna do something stupid, and then doing the coolest shit I've ever seen. That's awesome. And I love your relationship with the skeletons. Like I have to second like what John said about like, I would have never expected that to have gone that way. And by Merriweather's relationship made all of us very fond of them. and worried about them. And you did such a fabulous job interacting and making like with these NPCs and having like real genuine relationships with all of the characters we ran into. And it felt very real and very like full of life. And I really, really, really loved that about Merriweather as a general rule. And every time there'd be this offshoot character of her, I'm like, that feels right. She's so much of a person, she needs multiple people to be her. Like, it's fabulous. And I loved it. I want to play a game with all of you again, absolutely, including you, Gabriel, who thank you for improving pretty much this entire last session, I imagine. As we were doing wild shit, I only knew you were improving it because you said so. It was so good. This entire campaign has been so good. Thank you for letting us adopt a child. That you didn't have to do that. I recognize that's a wild move as custodians, and
it's been one of the highlights of the campaign. 100%.
Exactly. Lucas is a highlight. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks to you. Lucas is a highlight, and you let us like just continuously keep adopting people as like in like friendly NPCs, like people that maybe shouldn't have been. You were like, well, no, you interacted with them well, so you get to like have a relationship with them to some degree. And it was just fabulous. This entire, like, you rolled with all of our wild shit so well. I loved all of your characters. I loved how well you connected all of the plot lines at the end. Like, I did not expect you to do all that, like how you're pulling out. It was so cool. You did a fabulous job running this game and a fabulous job writing it. I think that really needs to be emphasized. You wrote this game and you did such a good job. It's such a fun game. It's so replayable. It's so, it will never be the same twice. And it's so good. And just, yes. And now I stop gushing.
You're good, man. Stars to echoing all the stars. I just want to, without over gushing myself, just want to say it's this all started for me as a fan of the show. I continue to be a huge fan of the show. I'm in awe of the writing and the world that's created, and so it is like an absolute delight to get to play with John and see John just like, I thought I made up something weird and scary, and then you made it so much worse, and I've just enjoyed that so much. So to play with John and B and all of you, you're just all rock star role players, and I've really enjoyed how continuously you all got to have surprised me with the characters. B was saying, rolling with the choices you make, but that's the fun of it too, is getting to follow your weird directions, or just put strange things in front of you and see what you do. So I really, really appreciated just stars for all the character arcs in general, how grounded they felt and how genuine and how like deep we got with the characters, even though we kind of, as far as campaigns go, we did kind of push this to finish up because of schedules. I feel like we could easily keep playing with these characters and still learn a lot about them. As the creator writing for this game, I sometimes will overthink and worry that it gets too weird and out there for people to like play and make a cohesive story with. And so the way every choice you made with your characters and everything you expressed, like make sense and made it very believable. And it just was really admired that and really had so much fun watching that unfold. As has been mentioned, just in awe of every verse that everyone does, Elle's especially. I feel like I'm getting mini episodes of the show. Seeing the camaraderie between Dr. Quick and Zeph, the whole parenting arc was so much fun. And often seeing, Dr. Quick, both Dr. Quick and Zeph, but have this sort of chaotic approach to things and very sometimes slapstick comedy, and then sometimes very profound and genuine. And with Bastion feeling this very it's a really great contrast. It's really like deeply embodied, contemplative, like witness to the horror sometimes, and very empathetic. So I just feel like between all these characters, we had such a beautiful range that really expressed the setting and just continued to surprise me. So it was just an absolute delight. I feel like I got to learn a lot from everyone, just as far as how to role play, how to run a campaign better. So I can't give enough stars to all of that. I just really appreciate everyone's time and just how you've built this amazing story together. And I'd love to continue to play. We could always pick up these characters if we wanted to, or play something else. Yeah, that's all I got. Really, wishes would just be to get to try more of the assignments. There's many more things we didn't get to put in play. There's all the extra journey scenes. There's all the material folks wrote for the contest. So I plan to keep running this game and get to try everything and keep experimenting. And I'm writing other stuff I want to drop in there. And I would love to get to like run everything that everyone here has written. That would be fun. It's just a matter of time. So I won't keep it much later though, but thank you all so much. I will pause the recording there. Everyone wants to wave goodbye to the camera.